which is a whole other lecture on how you teach somebody how to visualize success, how to see in your mind's eye that you're going to do nothing but hit the ball well. There's a process that involves training the brain to achieve something called the alpha rhythm. The alpha rhythm says that the brain becomes very receptive to positive suggestions. Now, it can also be receptive to negative suggestions. So in the training, the goal is to train only with positive thoughts. I'm not going to go into the whole process of visualization, but assuming that person has done that and knows how to do that, when you're sitting on the bench getting ready to bat against a certain pitcher, well, you've already visualized in your mind's eye from your practice how successful you're going to be with this hitter. So now you're going to get up and you're going to face this pitcher, and the pitcher, let's take our softball situation. The pitcher is going to go into a windup of some sort. Your eyes would get extremely exhausted if you stare intently during that windup as to what the pitcher is doing. So I always recommend that you pick someplace on that pitcher's uniform, let's say the letters of the team, and you focus your eye in a kind of soft focus. It's almost a daydreaming kind of effect, but you don't want to get too spaced out because you're about ready to hit the ball. So you've got this soft focus and you know where that pitcher is going to release the pitch. At that moment of truth, when the pitch is being released, you should be fine centering on the ball. But a softball, as small as you might think it is still too big. So you really need to fine tune where you're focusing. So in practice, when you're taking practice swings against the pitcher on your own team, let's say, you want to look at the fine centering moment, at the moment of truth, when the pitch is being released, at the letter R in the word Rawlings, or the letter D in the word Dudley, whichever base softball you're using, you want to see that letter R in your mind's eye. Now, I'm telling you right now, having faced fast pitch in softball and in baseball, there's no way you will ever see that letter R in Rawlings. If you do see it, that's a 1 in 100 shot. But the effort you make in looking for that small letter R on that softball as it's coming to you will probably allow you to keep your eye on that ball longer in its path to the bat than somebody who doesn't do that. Somebody who's just looking at that vague softball is not going to be fine-tuned to look at the ball when it's coming in. When I worked with Derek Jeter in his career, you'll notice when he was batting, if he didn't like a pitch, he would watch the pitch all the way into the catcher's glove. What he's looking at is the letter R in Rawlings all the way into the catcher's glove. So he's sort of reinforcing that effort to stay on the pitch longer. And then we get to the term, see the ball, hit the ball, which the great Yogi Berra used to say. Well, there's truth to that, because if you've practiced all this visualization training and you've learned about soft centering on the letters of the uniform and then fine centering on the letter R in Rawlings when the pitch is coming in, and you practice this over and over, like anything else, practice makes perfect. When you step up to the plate, all that should be on your mind is the letter R in Rawlings. I'm going to see that R. I'm going to hit that R. You're not thinking about anything else. So that explains how you watch a pitch. I'm going to move on to another slide. Okay. Let's talk about goals. When you train somebody, there are 3 levels of training in this area of visual performance. One is remediation, one is prevention, and one is enhancement. So when we talk about remediation, there are players who come to see me because, they have an eye problem. I have an eye muscle that's weak. Oh, then you're probably a good candidate for this training. Well, let's talk about prevention. Well, I don't know that I have anything wrong with me, but I want to know where I stand, and if I'm doing great and all my visual skills are good, how can you train my skills to a higher level by making my visual motor level of success higher? And that's where we get to enhancement. I want to talk now about when we went to Oakland, to actually Mesa, Arizona, to work with the Oakland A's. My A team is now up to 65 members, and we're growing every day. We just added somebody in Canada, and we're talking to somebody in South Africa. So these are all professionals. Some of them are doctors. Some of them are physical therapists. Some of them are athletic trainers. We have some kinesiologists or biomechanics people on the A team. And we take our show on the road and travel to various places. The first thing that I do with these players as they come in is to ask the right questions. What kind of problems are you having with your eyes? If there are no problems, let's talk about certain conditions. Do you lose your concentration late in the game? How do you play under the lights at night versus a day game? A lot of very pointed questions to get a feeling for what's going on in this kid's mind about their game. What are their goals? What are they trying to achieve by doing this kind of training? Here's an example of something we do. Did you have a question?
No, I was just saying, this is tremendous stuff, so I can see how well it translates over to softball. So continue. I don't have any, normally I ask questions, but yours is so thorough, there's nothing really to ask.
Well, thanks. So you're looking at an instrument called the Neuro Tracker. Just to give an example, this piece of equipment was used by Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons, in which he trained on it for the last 2 years. He had the second best stats in the National Football League after training on this, and he actually came out in an article in the New York Times saying how much this helped him improve his game. So what is this? Well, you're looking at a board, and on the board is something that looks like, they could look like softballs, actually. They're yellow. They could be tennis balls. There are 8 of them. We program this device to highlight 4 of the 8 balls, and they show up orange before the test begins. The athlete is asked to be aware of where those 4 orange balls are, because once the test begins, they too will become yellow with the others. And they will start to move around randomly, rotationally on that large screen TV. At the end of about 30 seconds, it'll come to a stop, and the athlete is asked to pick out the 4 balls that they were told to look for that originally started orange but eventually were yellow. And the way they can point them out is at the end of the test, each ball has a number on it. So the athlete will say, well, I think it was number 3, number 5, number 7, and number 8. You can speed this thing up. So what you're doing is you're training somebody to deal with multiple visual stimulus all at once. In most sports, there's a lot going on. And if you can learn to isolate out what you need from what you don't need, you're going to play your game better. So that's one device, the Neuro Tracker. This is something that is actually viewed with red and green glasses and on a big screen TV. And what you see are these 2 poles, and you're asked to use a joystick or actually a digital control to move the 2 poles until they're parallel to each other. What we're really trying to do is assess and train depth perception. And you can see the baseball field in the background. Here we see 2 red dots that are up by the pitcher's mound. And this is strictly a device standing in front of this on a large screen TV. It's a touch-sensitive board. And when one of the lights lights up, you've got to move your hand or your finger as quickly as you can to the second one. What this really does is train and test reaction time and hand speed. Quick hands play a big role in a lot of sports. Here we're looking at a device where this player is looking at, almost looks like an iPad, and on there he's asked to call out or locate letters. He's holding an iPhone, and the iPad at the distance has letters, and he's got to match on his iPhone, and he's got to do it quickly, which means he's training his ability to switch focus quickly. In a lot of sports, take soft pitch or fast pitch softball, balls hit to the outfield. Well, you've got to focus from the point where it was hit into your glove, and that involves your eyes zooming quickly and accurately. So here we're evaluating and training. Now remember, all of this equipment can be used in a training mode as well. This is something called Fit Light, where you can take these motion sensitive lights, put them anywhere. You can put them on walls, you can put them on the ground. We had the guys on the Oakland A's pretend that they were on first base and were ready to take off for second base, either by stealing second or on a hit. And we were trying to record in milliseconds how quickly they got that first step, because it's not always the fastest runner that steals second, but it's usually the one that gets the quickest first step. And so we're able to measure that, and we can train that. Here you see it in a form of just putting them on the floor. And in this case, we want them to react to these lights as they light up by just waving their foot across it. So again, we're measuring eye to foot speed. This is something called the Quick Board, which does a lot of different visual, motor, eye to foot training drills. One of them has to do with how well you can sequence with your feet as you move from point A to point B, and how quick your feet are and how quickly your eyes tell your feet what to do. So that's Quick Board. This is just a sampling of what we did with the Oakland A's. This is a device, very interestingly, which does a 200-degree scan of the retina and images it on a large TV screen. So you can see if there's any damage to the back of the eye. And in any sport, there's always a chance, especially where we hear so much about concussion today, that there could be damage that gets overlooked. So we were doing that. This is a device that will measure how you're seeing, whether you have astigmatism, nearsightedness, whatever the case may be, but it'll also do it under day seeing conditions and night seeing conditions, because how we see day versus night is very different. I had the opportunity to be interviewed by the New York Times about Josh Hamilton. Josh Hamilton, it was found, had a batting average that was 90 points lower during day games than night games. And he has very pale blue eyes and is very light sensitive. And we're attributing this problem to the fact that when he plays under day conditions, even with good sunglasses, he can't succeed in making contact with the ball as well as he does under night conditions. So I'm often asked, you've got all this technology, and I know that I can find out about the members of your A team and have this training done for me. But before I even get to that, let me give you some tips that you can use as drills, you coaches and players out there. And some of these things you may have seen the women's softball team in the 2008 and the 2016 Olympics using, because there were some featured stories about this. One of them is to take the ball itself and make it a different color. And you can simply do a soft toss from the side. And when the ball is in front of that hitter, if the ball is red, they're told to take it, leave it alone. If the ball is white, you want them to pull the ball. If the ball is green, they need to hit it to the opposite field. Just an idea of what you can do. Use a color on a ball and have the color mean something, and ask the hitter to do with their bat what they're being told to do based on what the color means. Another little wrinkle to that is you can have a smaller, skinnier bat than a normal softball bat, and that makes it even more challenging. You can add different colors and have them mean different things. You've often seen players that have put numbers on a ball. I think we have a slide later on where you see numbers on a ball. That's another good thing too. Like for fielding, it's great. Picture a shortstop who has a ball hit to them, and on the ball is a big magic marker number of, let's say, number 3. And they've got to look at the ball into the glove, calling out the number 3. And you can have different numbers on the ball. You can also have it where the player stands facing a wall and they've got their glove on and they can't see you. You're behind them. And you simply toss the ball off the wall and they've got to catch it. It's a great way to train reflexes to make quick, instant decisions when a ball needs to be fielded. Another thing you could do is have the player close their eyes, and at the crack of the bat in the outfield, they've got to open their eyes and make the play. Or you could have them turn around, and when they hear the crack of the bat, they've got to turn around facing forward again and do the same thing. It's a little sampling of the drills. Some of these drills are in the book that I've written, and it has a whole bunch of these as well. Okay, now some of you may have heard of these stroboscopic glasses. Now there's a company called SENAPTEC that's made the latest and greatest version of these. And the whole concept behind these is to take a lens, like these lenses are, that can be made to darken and lighten automatically, become opaque and then clear. And you can set the timer on it so that they can flash quickly, like so, or slower, like so. And as it gets slower, it obviously gets tougher. And they can take batting practice with these. I had the opportunity to work with one of the players on the Yankees who was a catcher who was having a lot of trouble stopping pitches. He was getting called for a lot of pass balls during his first year as a player. And we put him in the under the stadium batting cages and had him catch pitches wearing these stroboscopic glasses. What it does is makes you raise your level of concentration to a tremendous level. So then when you face the normal ball, the ball looks slower and larger to you. So this is a great little training aid that you can get from SENAPTEC. And here you can see, actually, this is Victor Cruz, the former NFL player for the New York Giants, wearing those strobe glasses. And here you can see him trying to catch a ball while wearing those glasses. This was at IMG Academy. There's the ball that we were talking about. There's one that has letter numbers on it and a letter on the top, but you're basically calling out the number. I prefer to use just one number on the ball. So let's say you have a number 3 scattered among different locations on the ball, and they've got to call out 3, or if it's a 2, 2, or whatever it may be. The object you see on the right is called a Brock string. It's strictly a string with beads on it, and there's a drill you can be taught where you're taught to aim your eyes at one bead. When you do, you should see 2 beads in front and 2 beads behind. If you don't, then you're shutting down one eye. So it's a way to train you to use your 2 eyes together as a team better. And I know there's a note in here about asking about swivel vision glasses. I've done this years and years ago, where you basically can block out a periphery of your vision or a lower section of your vision in a pair of glasses. You can even do it with black tape. You don't have to buy swivel glasses. And what it does is it confines your field of vision so that you're not distracted in an area you don't want to be distracted in. So there's some benefit to these, as there is so many other things that can be done. Well, before we talk about connecting to the A-team, I'm just going to mention that this training that I do and all the members of the A-team do consists of 3 phases. The first phase I call visual calisthenics. It's getting the eyes to work together better as a team, to track smoother, because tracking is a big thing in every sport, especially hitting a baseball. How accurately you can track your eyes can mean the difference between success and failure. So in this first phase, which we call visual calisthenics, we're working on focusing, eyes working together, eye tracking, all the basic visual skills to put you in the right direction. Phase 2 of the training is what I call visual cognitive motor training, which involves a lot of this more high-tech equipment to get you doing more motor tasks that are driven by your eyes, like concentration, like eye-hand coordination, etc. And then the last phase, which I touched upon briefly in the beginning, but it's really important to me, it's the icing on the cake in this whole training process, is what I call visualization training or positive imagery, which says that if I've been through all this training, now I want to teach my brain, my mind's eye, to know that I've got such great control with my eyes now that I can hit any pitch. It's a positive imagery planted in your brain through a visualization technique that people who are trained to know how to teach that can teach you. Members of my A-team know how to do it. And it's really, to me, the icing on the cake. How do you connect with the A-team? Well, if we move to the next slide. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to go one more slide. You can go online and go to the website www.highperformancevisionassociates.com. www.highperformancevisionassociates.com. That is our website. You'll find out where there are people in your area that do this work. If you need to contact me, my phone number is on this slide. And in addition to that, you can email me at Don Teig, and it doesn't have to be caps, DONTEIG at highperformancevisionassociates.com. And I believe we might be at the end. I think we are.
I'm going to ask you a few more questions since we have you here. We have anywhere from beginning players and parents that are wondering how to get their kids better, all the way up to professional athletes, probably on this seminars that we're doing. So obviously, if I'm a pro player, I can ask my team to help, sponsor some of this equipment. But I'm assuming I've already put money into my bat and my, gear. I don't think I'm getting some of your high-tech equipment yet. So your visual calisthenics, as you were talking about, what types of things can I do? You were mentioning the ball with a number on it or different color balls. Are there any other ideas that I can do just to get better at vision? One, I guess you go to your own doctor and just check your eyes and make sure you have, I guess that would be step one, correct?
That's step one, without a doubt.
Okay, so I know my own son, beautiful looking swing, as you would hope that a coach would have his son be able to hit, it looked pretty. But you would find that, so he hit a number of them out when he connected, but when he didn't connect, he was missing the ball by a bunch. And we didn't find out until a little later that he did need glasses. So I can see where that would be step one. And then now you were talking about, focusing, that soft focus. I like that, the soft focus, then then it was the, what was it? It was the
fine focus.
Fine focus, and even more so than the ball itself, because that is, I think that's where most coaches, even myself, is, okay, look for the release point, and the release point, out comes the ball. But you're talking about, could you just say, see the seams? Can you say?
No, I wouldn't say see the seams, because to me, there's too many seams. That's why my goal, and you can transfer this idea to almost any sport. Take a golfer standing over a golf ball, looking at the letter P in pinnacle instead of the entire word. The whole idea is to take a piece of the ball, and the seams are not really a piece of the ball. There's too many of them. You need one small spot. So in my case, I feel a ball of any kind is made by a manufacturer. So just take the first letter of the name of the manufacturer, look at it on the ball, hold it up to yourself, look at it. And then when you're ready to hit, be so focused on the idea that that letter R in Rawlings is what you're looking for. That little piece of the ball forces you to stay on that ball longer. When hitters say they're in a slump, if you watch them on video, they're not watching the ball. They say they are, but they're not. And a lot of that is the eye tracking as well. But if you want to improve eye tracking, you can certainly track better if in your mind's eye you're saying, well, I'm going to track this ball great because I'm looking for that letter R in Rawlings. That's going to force me to track it longer and more accurately than if I didn't do that.
Okay. One of the things, when a beginning hitter starts out, the way we hold our bats, there really isn't a difference between right-handed and left-handed in a sense. I mean, there is a dominant throwing, but really hitting, you can kind of almost do it from either side. So I've kind of taken the theory that you'll have more success if you start on the left side, be 2 steps closer to first base, but that might interfere with dominant eye. We do seem to have a dominant eye. You haven't talked about that. Is there?
Yeah, that's one thing we haven't discussed, and it's really important. So we are all born with a dominant eye. A lot of people are under the misconception that the dominant eye, that the dominant eye is the eye that sees better. In your life, as you age and as you develop vision problems, your dominant eye that you were born with could turn out to be the one that sees worse. It's still your dominant eye. It never changes. So here's the relevance. First of all, in order to test for eye dominance, I'm going to kind of show it to you on the screen, but it really needs to be done a certain way. When you test for it, you pick an object off at a distance. It's got to be something at least 10 feet away from you, preferably at eye level. And you take both your hands, and watch this on here now. You extend your hands out and make a small triangle between your hands, but your arms have to be fully extended. And you look at that distant object through that hole between your hands. And whichever eye is lining up, in this case, you see it's my right eye. That's my dominant eye. Now, it's hard to do this on a webinar. It's something that if I was there live and showed it to you, because I almost hate doing it this way because somebody's going to get it mixed up and not do it right. But essentially, you're lifting your hands from the middle of your body, fully extended, make a triangle around a distant object, have somebody stand in front of you and cover one eye, cover the other eye. Whichever eye is still seeing the distant object is the dominant eye. Now, here's what's interesting about it. Among most human beings, there are 80% of all right-handed people were born to aim with their right eye. 20% don't. Those are what we call cross-dominant people. Among lefties, and you find so much ambidextrous behavior among lefties. Among lefties, 60% of all lefties use their left eye to aim with, but 40% use their right eye. So there are more cross-dominant people among lefties. And in baseball, to be cross-dominant is a natural advantage in hitting. Because, for example, I'm a lefty, and I'm right eye dominant. So when I bat lefty, my right eye is facing the pitcher immediately. And studies show, they did a study in Canada, they did it with hockey players. They found that the dominant eye processes information to the brain 14 milliseconds faster than the non-dominant eye. That may sound like a ridiculously tiny number, but in a game like fast pitch softball or baseball, where you have a fraction of a second to make a visual decision how you're going to hit the ball, and then another fraction to mechanically hit it right, every little bit helps. So a cross-dominant hitter has a real advantage. Now, it doesn't mean that if you're not cross-dominant, you'll never hit well. The simple thing to do, let's say I was left eye dominant and left-handed. So why shouldn't I turn my head more when I hit? But frankly, every hitter should do that, because by turning your head, both eyes are in line with the pitcher, and your ability to see what he's throwing at you in stereo, in 3D, is so much better than if your head is sideways. And frankly, your nose can block the other eye, and that cuts down on you seeing everything in 3D. So the eye dominance thing is a really interesting thing. I tested 250 major league players in my career, and I tabulated what they were, left eye, right eye. We found that the teams that had the best career batting averages per player had the most cross-dominant hitters, which is really interesting.
That is interesting. So back to my little theory of starting kids almost hitting, if they're right-handed naturally, if I put them on the left side of the plate to hit, I might be, and if they were the typical 80%, their more dominant eye would be.
There's a benefit for a young kid who you're not really sure that they're so solid from batting their normal side of the plate, and they're young enough where you work on switch hitting. If the kid's right-handed and right-eyed, have him bat from the left side, see how he does. I bet you'll hit for contact better than he does if he's batting from the right side. So,
and then he would have the advantage, or she, in the case of basketball, softball, mostly, would be 2 steps closer to first base. I know when my daughter first started playing, she wasn't very good, but she walked a lot of times because the pitcher didn't know how to pitch to a lefty. And so she was on base running around thinking this is great. So, and my contention is that if I start doing something and having fun at it, I'll continue doing that, as opposed to work. This is no fun. I'm done with this sport. So,
yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have any other questions, because I think that covered you know so much. And I've been coaching 45 years, and I've heard things today I've never heard of. So I think this will add to anybody's knowledge of hitting a baseball, hitting a softball. So I really appreciate what you've done for us. And again, we'll put up in the chat room how to get a hold of you, so people can go, and maybe you'll refer them to someone in their area so they don't have to travel to Florida or whatever. So
we are opening a facility in Florida, probably in the next month, but not everybody's in Florida. So
right.
We do have people all over the place, and that would be a great way to do it.
Great. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks so much.
Well, what did you think of that? You can unmute yourself or hit the space bar, and if you had any thoughts, share them with us or go in the chat. I'd love to hear what you had to say. Or sorry about the audio for a while there. Anybody? All right, so tomorrow, what we're going to do is we are going to talk hitting mechanics, again, from the pro player, high level. She played for Team Mexico that's going to the Olympics. Different colored balls on soft toss. Okay, good. Yeah, and I do want to show you a device that can really help with this. The different colored balls, I'll tell you what I use. In fact, we actually make it kind of an introductory game where they take a softball. Everybody has their own softball or baseball or whatever they're playing with. And they actually draw colors and figures on the ball. And we use it for hitting. We use it for, because now you've got about 9 or 12 softballs that are all colored this way. And you also have fielding drills that you look the ball in and describe the shape, or like Dr. Teig was saying, with numbers. It can be anything. I had one kid, he was really into chemistry, so he used chemical elements. He had AU and he had silicon and some other stuff on his ball. So pretty funny, but to each their own. So any other questions? Let me, I do want to share with you a little 1.5 minute video on a device that can help you do this small ball training that he was talking about. So let me share my screen one more time. And like I said, this will only take a minute or two, and then we'll pretty much wrap it up. But any other questions, put in the chat box here. So let me, oops, I haven't gone there yet. That's what the problem is. Let's do this and do this. Okay, so, hold on. All right, here we go. Got it here. Share. Where am I? Oh, here it is. Real quick. Okay.
Field. That is way out of here.
Hi, I'm Chris Richard, and this is the Personal Pitcher, and it's the best way to improve your game. From hitting to fielding, the Personal Pitcher will make you a better ball player. Get the practice you need to improve hand-eye coordination, develop muscle memory, bat speed, and timing. The Personal Pitcher was designed with all this in mind. It uses the small practice golf ball, which is tougher to hit than a baseball or softball. It has an automatic feeder, which holds up to 100 balls, so you'll get plenty of swings. The patented pitch indicator light will help your timing by getting brighter, letting you know the ball is about to be pitched. When the light goes out, the ball is leaving the pitcher's hand. It has 4 speeds so that any age player can use the machine, from Little League to Major League. If you can swing a bat, then you can hit off the Personal Pitcher. The Pro model throws left and right-handed curveballs so you can learn how to stay back and drive that breaking ball. Instead of your regular game bat, pick up one of our Hitmaster Grow Bats and further improve your hand-eye coordination and confidence. For defensive exercises, grab a web glove and develop those soft hands. The Personal Pitcher weighs only 5 pounds, has a 4-hour rechargeable battery, and works with any standard camera tripod, so it is extremely portable. You can hit in your backyard, at the park, on a tennis court, in a gym, and it's even safe to use in your garage or basement. You know, there's nothing better than the Personal Pitcher, and we stand by it with a 2-year warranty and a 30-day money-back guarantee. And remember, great hitters aren't born, they're made. So start getting the most out of your ability and start practicing with the Personal Pitcher.
Richard swings, sends this one to deep left center field, way back and gone, up on the patio. Home run number 14 for...
So that is the inventor's son who practiced on it over and over again until he made it to the major league. So starting at 14, wanting to make the JV team. That's a great little story. I will put in the chat where you can get this. I like it so much, but what I did is they have 2 models, and you really need the more professional model. And then I couple it with the little glove that you showed there to practice different fielding, and then that grow bat, so that's real skinny. So let me put that, where did my, oh, here it is. There's the link on where you could go get that device if that's of interest to you, but it really is a pretty good idea. It will throw, and if you do have different colored balls, you can do different drills as it pitches out. You don't have to just load the white ones in. In fact, for softball, it even comes with yellow balls. So that's and it comes, the bats come in different sizes, so it matches your game weight bat. And I really like it. I've had one for about 10 years, and my kids grew up hitting off of that. So other questions? Well, I told you I'd be out of here at 5 o'clock, so I think we're about done. Last time, questions? We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel here. watch for emails. No questions? All right. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.